Super Mario Wonder. I've spent quite a lot of time in the speedrunning community for this game digging for information about glitches, and considering it's relatively new, they've taught me that it's had more than its fair share of huge glitches discovered already, especially Nifty Nova and Jank Pickle. They have been a huge help with this video. I'm sure we've all seen one method on how to clip out of bounds in the overworld maps by now, but did you know that there's another way that still works in the latest update? And that there's a really strange glitch that you can trigger out of bounds that's not fully understood yet. Plus, it wouldn't be a glitch picnic without some non-out of bounds related and super pointless glitches, would it? Well, you're about to find out about all of this, but the bad news is you're going to need to pay for a frond again to get out of bounds using any of these methods, because they're all two-player only glitches. I'm going to run out of money hiring all these fronds, I swear. Whenever you find yourself in the hub world of Mario Wonder, there are two ways that you can move around. One of them lets you walk around in a 3D style area and you can choose which level you want to play next, where the other one forces you onto a set path between points known as nodes. When you're on these set paths, pressing a direction to follow the dotted line will automatically move you to the next node, so you don't have any freedom to move whatsoever. But wouldn't it be great if you could walk off the path instead of playing the way that Nintendo wants you to? Well, as I already mentioned, it's actually one of the easiest glitches to get working in the entire game. It just requires a little bit of setup before you can escape. And having an Elephant Powerup on player 1 is going to make this glitch 100 times easier for you, so make sure you've got one at all times. To get this to work, player 2 needs to have the crown icon, which they can get by hitting the flagpole at the end of a level higher than player 1 hits it. Then, on the overworld, place player 2 next to a node without standing on it, and have player 1 standing anywhere else. Once you've got everything in place, have player 1 jump and press the pause button as the character is rising up. Then, using the character selection menu, choose the same two characters that you're already using. On this screen, make sure that player 2 is holding the D-pad towards the node that they're stood next to. When the game reloads, player 1 will be moved onto or next to the path, but won't be locked onto it, which doesn't seem like much of a problem at first, but being in this position means that they can wander off into the out-of-bounds terrain. And that's it. That's literally all it takes to get out of bounds in a 2023 first-party Nintendo game. Incredible! You can use this out of bounds to skip over pathways that you haven't unlocked yet, giving you access to levels further on in the world. Skip past levels altogether, including all of the airships in the game, which is incredibly difficult and I never actually managed to do, so this clip was graciously provided by Jank Pickle. And you can even use it to skip entire worlds just by island hopping the path that's meant to pop up when you beat them, making it a vital glitch for speedrunning the game. As a bonus, if you do skip a world like this, then every new world that you come to will be called ? Until you collect the royal seed from the world that you missed. Not really sure why the game is programmed this way, and all of this is great, but there is a catch, because unfortunately being out of bounds isn't a totally free pass to go wherever you want. While you're out of bounds like this, you'll be able to explore to an extent, but you've got to be careful because it's pretty easy to fall off the world, get trapped halfway in the ground whilst in bounds, or get dragged back to the dotted line path again and have to re-trigger the glitch if you walk in the wrong places while you're out here. Another limiting factor to this glitch is the fact that the camera won't follow the player along since they don't have the crown, but there's an easy way to solve this problem just by switching back to player 1 mode and choosing the out of bounds character. This will make it so that no matter where you go, the camera will follow as intended. As helpful as that is, one player mode should be classed as double dangerous because falling off now will leave you stranded in the nothingness of the world forever. You can escape this white space if you press L to select another stage, but if you leave your character falling for around 4 minutes and 30 seconds, they'll leave the entire universe and the game will softlock so that you can't escape. You also won't be able to escape the nothingness if player 2 is in an endless loop of orbage either. That is unless you hit a frame-perfect L press, so again, and I can't stress this enough, you've got to be careful out here. You can trigger this glitch on pretty much every single node in the game and even have both players out of bounds if you change back to 2-player mode again whilst you're out here, but that doesn't mean that it's useful everywhere. If you want to take full advantage of this glitch in different worlds, I suggest taking a look at some current any% speedruns. That way you'll be able to see the most optimal way of using this glitch without falling off and being trapped forever. Just don't expect to be able to follow everything on your first attempt because all of the runners make this look so easy, but I can confirm it is not, which is why I suggested grabbing the Elephant Powerup before doing anything. Being in elephant form makes it much easier to walk on the seam of the out-of-bounds areas without falling off, which is more than helpful when you're starting out. It's also something worth mentioning that you can glitch all 4 players out of bounds using this method, making it 4 times faster to find anything interesting. I don't actually have enough friends to do that, so this is 3 people out of bounds just as a proof of concept. And now that we've learnt about the easiest way to get out of bounds, it's probably a good idea to tell you that this was patched out in the very first update of the game, which was version 1.01. So if you updated, is all hope lost for you? If you happen to be in the same boat as the millions of other people that have updated the game and can't trigger this glitch, then there's another much lesser known way of glitching out of bounds that still works in the latest update. Again, at the time of making this episode, it was still version 1.01. It works in a very similar way to the first method, with player 2 holding the crown and a character switch being required, but this time you'll need to use a block instead of a path. That's why it's called block clip. Makes sense, right? Once you're set up and you've found your perfectly cube-shaped block, place player 2 under it again, put player 1 anywhere that you like, then make player 2 jump, and just before they touch the block, pause and switch characters back to the same 2 that you're already using, just like we did in the first glitch. If you're using big characters, then the timing is pretty precise with this one, but if you pause the game at the right moment, then player 1 will be standing on top of the block and is technically out of bounds. Yep, this is it. The huge out of bounds discovery in version 1.01. Doesn't it look awesome? Alright, I'll be the first to admit that it doesn't look like much here, just like most of the glitches that I show you, but this isn't all that you can do with the glitch, otherwise I wouldn't be showing it off at all. If you block clip onto a block that's near the edge of a walkable area in some parts of the overworld, you can actually jump far enough to clear the border and escape to a full, real out of bounds area instead of being limited to the top of the block. Again, you've got to be careful doing this or you can get forced back to the last save point you were stood, but that doesn't mean that you can't do some interesting exploring in one player mode. Like this. This is my favourite thing to do with the glitch, and if you head back up to the pipe without getting here the proper way, then your character will just move their head as you press directions, since the pathway here hasn't been unlocked yet. Or you can use it in the northeast side of World 5 to jump over to Captain Toad's hiding spot on this mini island without having to find the secret warp pipe to him in World 4. If you don't like the idea of switching characters all the time to trigger this glitch, then you can even do it without pausing if you make player 1 run off the screen, then have player 2 jump at just the right time as they're being dragged back to you in their orb. These 2 specific skips are probably the only useful places that this can be used, so I guess the only real advantage it has over the first out of bounds is that it still works in the latest updates. But now, since we know 2 ways of getting out of bounds, it's time to take a look at another glitch we can find out here that's still currently in the experimental phase. Teleportation. It was discovered back in November 2023, but even after a few months, the technicals are still a bit of a mystery. No one really seems to know how this glitch works yet, but you better believe that the speedrunning community is all over it. They even have a specific Discord channel purely for discussing theories and videos of this glitch, even going as far as to analyse the world models. And when they learn everything about it, Wonder will be broken all the way open. Even more than it already is anyway. So how do we even get this to work in the first place? Of course, first we've got to be out of bounds, where we can trigger something called a slide. To do a slide, you have to jump as close to the edge of an out of bounds ledge as you can, then instantly walk off it. If you manage to jump close enough to the edge and fall off, you'll start to slide all the way back to the last save point that the game knows you were at. It's not particularly helpful on its own, but if you happen to slide in the direction of a level, you'll be teleported somewhere else as you slide through it, hence the name teleportation. So far what we know is that holding a direction as you slide through a level like this will teleport you to the nearest level in the direction that your control stick is facing. But that seems to be pretty much all the information we have, and even that only happens in certain places like Petal Isles, World 4 and World 5. It's pretty cool to do in one player mode, but you only get one chance to get it right, so it can be kind of a pain if you miss the mark. Obviously, this glitch is something that the speedrunning community is vigilantly trying to figure out the mechanics of, because right now you have to beat the whole of World Bowser after collecting the 3 unskippable royal seeds, but being able to teleport directly to Bowser's Rage stage would skip 7 whole minutes of gameplay. I have total faith that they'll work this glitch out, as the game has only been out for a few months and they've come this far already, so having made this much progress is ridiculously impressive. Anyway, I'm absolutely worn out from researching, testing and writing about these crazy glitches, so it's time to take a look at a few of the more pointless ones that can be found in this game that are a lot less painful for the brain to understand. And to be honest, there really aren't that many so far, but the ones that are here can be pretty helpful. Except this first one anyway. Being a Nintendo game, you're obviously not allowed to voice chat. Why would you be? People could say cunt and really offend you, so instead we get the much better alternative that keeps everyone happy. Emotes. If you hold the X button down, the emote wheel will pop up above your character's head and you'll be locked in place as the directional buttons will just change which emote you're using. What? That is, unless you hold the X button to bring up the wheel, press start, release the X button, switch to another character, then when the menu disappears hold X again, and just like magic, when the screen reloads you'll be able to run around with the emote wheel on screen. And that's it. You won't be able to interact with NPCs or levels while this glitch is active, which makes it probably one of the most pointless glitches that we've ever seen on this channel. But look, if you release X, you'll use the emote that you chose. But why? Why would you want to do this? Same reason you'd want this glitch, I guess. There's a way to glitch into the ceiling when playing as a Wubba, which relies a little bit on luck, but maybe this is more of an Easter egg than a glitch, because it looks suspiciously like the glitch that you can trigger all over the place in Super Mario World for the SNES. To trigger this one, you need to be in 2-player mode with 1 player in the slime up at the ceiling, and be close enough to one of these conch enemies that they try to attack you. Have the other player die by holding L and R together and try to revive them at the same time the conch hits the ceiling, and if you get revived at the exact same time that the conch smashes into you, then the revived character will be revived in the ceiling. There's literally nowhere to go other than just above this section of slime though, so there's no reason to do this glitch unless you're planning on completing the game without holding right, as you can see in Ansel G's video. But just like the last glitch, I can only ask, why? And that is probably the last thing that we can consider a glitch in this entire episode, because the rest are seen more as semi-intended exploits according to everyone online. So don't shout at me for putting them in a glitch compilation, alright? I gotta show something. An exploit known as the infinite bubble jump can be helpful in the right places, and all you've got to do is start running, release a bubble, then every time you jump onto that bubble press Y and B at the same time to release another bubble and jump up again. The best example I've seen it used in is the level Jump Jump Jump, because I found this level unreasonably difficult for some reason, and this exploit just makes it a walk in the park. Or should I say, a jump in the air. Ho 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 ho! The timing of the inputs for this can be pretty tricky at first, so you might need some practice before you can clear a long level like this, but it only took me 5 minutes to learn, so I think you'll be able to pick it up quickly. There's also another semi-helpful exploit that you may or may not have seen before, but you can use the parachute cap to climb up any wall that you can wall kick off, and it's really easy to do. Just enter into a level making sure you've got the parachute cap badge equipped, and you can wall jump and quickly use the cap to glide back to the wall and do it again, over and over, getting a little height each time you do it. You'll find a great practice spot for this in Robert Cove, because there's a huge wall that you can find that you can just keep on climbing, but these one-sided wall jumps aren't just for show. They can actually be helpful in a few situations too, like in World 4's Desert Mystery level. The first wonder seed that you try to collect here will fly off, and you're meant to solve a small puzzle to reach up to the ledge, then drop through this trapdoor and complete a maze down here before you can finally grab a hold of it. Or you can skip the puzzle with a one-sided wall jump, and then skip the trapdoor maze with another one-sided wall jump, skipping pretty much all of it. It's also handy if you accidentally ruin your only chance to access a secret area, like the one at the top of the first section in Bluebird Roost. The enemy up here shoots its beak into the wall to make a platform that gives you access to a hidden block with a vine inside, which lets you up to the red pipe, which is hiding the second 10 flower coin inside. But if you accidentally defeat the enemy without realizing this area is up here, you can easily just use the parachute cap exploit to reach it instead. To my knowledge, these are about the only 2 situations that the one-sided wall kick is actually useful. There doesn't seem to be anything interesting or mysterious hidden up high, or anywhere that you can't gain access to normally, so yeah, despite having its uses, it's still pretty pointless honestly. And with that, that's the end of today's Glitch Picnic. I know, it's not the world's glitchiest game, but considering it's only been out for 3 or 4 months now, I think it's pretty impressive to see what's been uncovered already. You know what else is impressive? The amount of support from this month's Patreon supporters, who this month are Himdog, Max Wegner, Talentless Hack, Sailor, and Michael Harris. Thank you all so much for the support and for watching until the end. The next episode is going to be an awesome one. The game is totally full of glitches, so why not subscribe while you're here so that you don't miss it, and I'll see you there. And don't forget, I love you all. Mwah.